So today I'm going to teach you how to drop ship on Etsy, okay? And Etsy is a great opportunity for drop shippers, both if you're currently obviously banned on Facebook Marketplace, or if you're just looking for another place to diversify and, drop ship on another platform, right? So it's a great opportunity because there are some challenges presented with drop shipping on Etsy that you don't see on other platforms specifically. But that's a good thing in a lot of ways because it means that the sales velocity on Etsy is relatively high, but the competition and the other people drop shipping on the platform that you will be competing against is not really there to meet the sales velocity, right? So for example, like on Amazon, okay? On Amazon or eBay, for example, right? Like you have a great number of sales velocity and sales potential there. Don't get me wrong, it's been phenomenal. And I plan on creating an Amazon dropshipping tutorial relatively soon. But with that sales velocity comes a lot of competition with it, right? Well, on Etsy, there's a lot of sales velocity, not necessarily obviously like to match like a Facebook Marketplace or an eBay or an Amazon or anything like that, but there is a good number of sales there, but the competition for drop shippers and the types of products that you're gonna be drop shipping is not really there, okay? So we're gonna talk about some of those challenges here when I show you the tutorial here and we jump into my computer here in a second. But really, there's only two extensions that I use to drop ship using Etsy. And first and foremost is gonna be the same one that I've covered in the Poshmark dropshipping tutorial, the same one that I've covered in the OfferUp dropshipping, or sorry, that's not the OfferUp dropshipping tutorial, the Facebook Marketplace dropshipping tutorial, and that is ZDrop, okay? If you guys want ZDrop, it'll be linked in the description. It is an affiliate link, but you can save, I think, $1 off every single month going forward if you plan on sticking with it, which I still use it. It's phenomenal. I have yet to see a better option out there. Not only does it morph your listings over like that, which you'll see here in a second, but it also allows you to copy paste addresses, which in and of itself is way, I mean, they're both obviously worth $100 a month in my opinion, but because they come together and then you're literally paying $9 a month for the software, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. Check it out. The second one is List Perfectly, which basically lets you cross-post from other marketplaces or from Etsy to other marketplaces, right? So I think List Perfectly lets you cross-post to like 12 to 15 different marketplaces. I only really use about like 8 to 10 of them, I want to say. But like if you have, for example, like already a bunch of listings on Facebook Marketplace or already a bunch of listings on like eBay, for example, well, you don't really need to go find or source more. You can go to your best-selling listings, use List Perfectly, and cross-post them again to Etsy or to wherever else, okay? So we're gonna cover all that here and more, but I did wanna touch on the fact that while there are challenges with Etsy, and it's definitely not the platform I'd recommend like you should focus all your attention on, it's definitely a great place to diversify if you're looking for other marketplaces to sell and dropship on. And because the competition on there is relatively low, because it's not as easy to like just post over to Facebook Marketplace, it's still pretty easy, don't get me wrong. But because there are a little bit of hurdles like you wouldn't see on an eBay or a Facebook Marketplace, the competition there is next to non-existent for dropshippers, okay? So with that being said, let's hop into my computer and I'll show you how to dropship on Etsy. So Etsy is another marketplace that you can drop ship with, and one of the benefits of Etsy is it works with ZDrop obviously, so a lot of Amazon listings, a lot of Walmart listings you can obviously copy to Etsy, okay? So we're gonna cover all the nuances of it here in a second. Another benefit of it is when you're using, again, a software like List Perfectly, which is a cross-posting software, it also cross-posts to Etsy, right? So you can post things to Etsy and then also post them to Facebook, to Poshmark, to other ones like Depop or whatever it is that you want to do in Mercari, right? Or vice versa. Like if you have Mercari listings that you think work well on Etsy, you can cross-post them to Etsy, Facebook Marketplace to Etsy, you get the picture, right? So it works with both softwares. That's why it's a marketplace that I recommend. Full disclosure, I don't really do this a lot yet. I have tested some listings on here and some of them have sold, right? There's a couple issues with Etsy. First and foremost, you can only, okay, so I want to hit this home, you can only list vintage or handmade products on Etsy, okay? So vintage is like older clothes and vintage like goods and stuff like that. Handmade is anything that's made by hand, okay? That's what they want on their marketplace. So something like this, you couldn't drop ship onto Etsy, right? Something like, you would normally drop ship on Facebook that's like an Amazon product, you probably can't drop ship onto Etsy, okay? So that's the first thing is you need to find handmade or vintage goods to be able to drop ship them on Etsy, okay? The second thing is they charge you 20 cents a listing to even list something, okay? So anybody that's, not well-versed in drop shipping yet, I wouldn't recommend that you start here, but eventually once you get good at it and you kind of not max out on other platforms, but you start to get success on other platforms, that's when I recommend that you branch out to Etsy, because it's another marketplace with high sales velocity where there aren't really a lot of drop shippers because of the two things that I just outlined. You can only do vintage or handmade, and they charge you 20 cents a listing. At that point, it might be smart to branch out to Etsy. But I will cover it in this lecture in case you want to start it. It's something I plan to get into heavily in the future because I think there's a lot of promise. I think that a lot of drop shippers avoid it for the specific reasons I just outlined. And so I think there's a lot of drop shipping opportunity there if you can do it correctly, because the competition isn't there, but the sales velocity is, right? A lot of potential sales on that platform potentially for drop shippers. I think I just said potentially like 100 times. And a lot of, obviously, I was trying to avoid potential, but a lot of potential profit for you as well. So there's a couple ways you could approach this, a couple ways that I have approached this. But again, I don't really do this that much yet. I just want to outline it for you, and it's something I plan to do in the future. So if you go to like Amazon, right? Or let's just go to like Amazon bestsellers. And I don't recommend that you do this. I know a lot of tutorials I show like bestsellers are going into Walmart. Again, I also recommend that you differentiate your suppliers, go to other suppliers that aren't Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, etc., because everybody starts there and everybody uses the bestsellers, okay? But just to kind of show you, if you came down to here, there's a handmade section. So like handmade products, a lot of these you can list on Etsy because they're all handmade, okay? The issue with some of these listings though is the handling time, because they're handmade, it might be an issue, okay? So if the handling time is like 5 days or like 3 days or 7 days, it's gonna be an issue because you're gonna struggle to get the tracking number to give to your customer, okay? So make sure that when you're actually looking at these things, it's not something that's like personalized with like a name. You want to avoid those types of listings. But like something like this potentially where it's like a baby, well, that's a baby name too, so let's avoid that. So let's find one that you can actually drop ship onto Etsy that's not too customizable, that obviously you could just list and then potentially fulfill. Again, you want to avoid customizable. You want to avoid things with long handling times and stuff like that. But this is something that you could, again, just list to Etsy as handmade. The only issue is when you list to Etsy, you want to do the same thing. You just want to copy it to Etsy using ZDrop, or you can cross-post it from somewhere else using List Perfectly, right? And so you just want to list it to Etsy. There's a bunch of other little categories that you're going to need to fill in Etsy, and you'll get the hang of it very, very easily, just like you would anything else. But that's one way that you could approach it, listing like handmade or vintage from actual Amazon bestsellers, handmade, or just searching like handmade on Amazon, right? And seeing what pops up and list from there. That's one way to approach it. But again, you can only list handmade and vintage, and you do get charged 20 cents per listing. So you can't really play the volume game too much where you're listing like hundreds and thousands of listings, because you're going to be paying 20 cents for every listing that you obviously list, right? So you want to kind of go after best sellers. You want to kind of go after things that are proven on other platforms that you can potentially list. So you can even use like Facebook or Mercari or other things like that to test products. And then once you have a winner that's handmade or vintage, then list it to Etsy and also sell it there, right? Another thing that you can do is you can go to like obscure suppliers. I know a lot of people drop ship on Etsy like this. So you can just search for like vintage products or like vintage hoodies, right? Or like something like that, right? And then find a supplier who sells vintage hoodies online and list those to Etsy, right? Or go to like handmade, I don't know, anything, like handmade doormats, handmade scarves, handmade whatever, right? Like, and then find a supplier who does that, and then list from that specific supplier on the Etsy. The issue with that though is you won't be able to use ZDrop because it won't integrate with that website, but you can use something like an e-commerce image downloader, which I don't have up right now. But if you use e-commerce image downloader, what it's going to do is on a lot of different things, it should just download the pictures on the actual thing right here, on the actual page. And so you'll see this pop up right here with the e-commerce image downloader. You hit download all directly, and it should just download all the images on right here. So it downloaded all three of those images to my downloads, and you'll see them pop up right there. And then I could just list them a lot easier. All I have to do is then copy and paste the description and the title and paste it into Etsy. It's very, very easy, okay? If e-commerce image downloader is something you can't find because they've changed their name twice now, if they might change their name again, or maybe it's not working with the integrated site that you're working with, you can download, there's a number of e-commerce plugins that are Google Chrome related. Just search the Chrome store. I can't talk today apparently. Search the Chrome store, and you will be able to find one that just downloads the pictures on the actual, whatever page, okay? So that's how you approach Etsy. Again, I'm not too seasoned in this, but I wanted to cover it for you because I think it's a promising up-and-coming dropshipping platform where you can take advantage of, make more money, make more profit that really nobody's doing right now because of the issues that I outlined. So it's something I see on the horizon for me. maybe you tackle it. Maybe maybe you hop in before there's a lot of competition there and you really kind of master it yourself. It's not really high risk because they're really, 20 cents a listing isn't high risk, but it's more high risk because you have to pay for your listings as opposed to somewhere like Facebook or Mercari, but there's a lot more reward potential there because nobody else is doing it. So that's Etsy. Hope it helped.